Alright, let's start with Space Plant. Yeah, so Space Plant is quite an amazing track. There's a lot of potential here for crazy dives and really difficult strategies. But we're starting out with a basic strategy with the Twin Orita. The staff goes got to 150. That should be pretty easy to beat with any strategy. These strategies with these tutorials for the videos for Space Plant, Sand Ocean 2, 4x2 and Big Hand are all done by Jack20, so thanks a lot to him for making these demos. So of course I looked at them very carefully, and the strategies are very good for learning how to play this track. So let's watch the first one. So there we go, that's strategy 1. Already 9 seconds faster than the Staff Ghost. And it's really pretty basic grip-based driving, but there's a few tricks to it where you can really win time on that Staff Ghost. And yeah, I'm playing Regeneration, the expansion kit song, because it's really cool. And I think it kind of fits this track. So I'm starting out with the same acceleration that the Staff Ghost uses. And yeah, basically you just want to keep a straight line for as long as possible in the beginning. Very minimize your steering as much as possible. There's nothing else you can do really, just try to keep a straight line. And then gently steer into this following left corner and try to stay on the all the way left side. This has a very slight curve to it all the way through the most of the tunnel. So you want to stay on the left side, of course without hitting the sides. And at this point I'm just keeping, you can just keep a straight line without any steering. So it's just optimized, efficient driving, really, the start of this track. Stay on the inside of the corners, of course. Now we're starting to make a transition to the cylinder part. You can do that in the middle. That's the fastest way. What you can do, because sometimes it kind of messes up when you make this transition. I always enter the cylinder from the right side and I use a left side attack just to make sure that I keep grip and that nothing funny happens when I make the transition. Sometimes if you steer weird or whatever, you can crash at that point, especially in lap 2 and 3 when you're going a lot faster. So to stay on the inside of the cylinder part, we cannot really do much with it in a grip strategy. Stay on the inside of the curves. Do a right side attack here. Again, stay on the inside, and the next the tunnel after this one is gonna have ice in the middle. We want to stay on the right side of the ice. This is definitely something to be very careful with. If you do happen to be on the ice, just use a right side attack or very gently steer to get away from it, or at least don't hit the sides. Now this is going to be an interesting point. We have a jump here. Of course you want to point the nose of the ship down, so I'm holding up, and now I'm neutral. And then right before landing, I'll level out the ship to reduce the landing impact and immediately start boosting lap 2. Keep on boosting for about 5 boosts straight, so second boost. And that's just so we can lift off here. And by lifting off and actually getting a lot of airtime as much as possible, so I'm mostly holding just neutral on the control stick, you can accelerate quite a bit in the air. And when you land, continue to boost, because we want to preserve that speed for as long as possible, and that is the trick where in this strategy you can win a lot of time on as stat goes. So now you enter the cylinder from the right side with the left side attack. That's what I was trying to explain in the previous lap. That's the safest way to do it. In this strategy we cannot do anything with the cylinder really, because a lot of curves that are great for drifting, but we can't do that right now. So just stay on the inside and try to drive efficiently with the shortest driving lines. Start boosting again here. Now I don't use up all the energy in this first lap. Stay to the right side of the ice. And you have to take the full refiller, of course. But do start boosting again when you enter this refiller. So at this point, and keep on boosting all the way, because we want to take off at the start of lap 3 again. So point your nose to shift down again to about like this, and then pull up right before the land to reduce the landing impact. All the way, keep on boosting. And yeah, jack to zero makes a very valid point. It can be tricky to stay all the way on the inside of the cylinder, especially in lap 2 and 3 when you're going a bit faster. So you can also just stay on top, and whenever you feel that you need to do a side attack or an accelerator tap to keep your grip when you're learning this strategy. Yeah, so keep on boosting all the way up to here to preserve the speed. Same idea as the last, as lap 2. Enter the cylinder from the right side and left side attack. So you could drive on top here and you'll be fine. It's just very slightly faster to stay on the insides. Yeah, if you didn't hit any sides, you should have just a bit of energy left. Now it's your choice to either, when we exit the cylinder, to boost, which is the fastest option of course, or actually keep it just in case something funny happens with that ice. Yeah, so this is a bit dangerous because we don't have no energy, so if you would touch the side, it would be an instant death. But anyway, I think it's pretty straightforward, and the trick really is to build as much speed as possible on that hill at the start of a lap, so you can take off in lap 2 and 3 and accelerate through the air in that way, and then keep on boosting to preserve the speed from that dive as well. And well, you can beat the staff coast by over 9 seconds. Alright, but I already mentioned it briefly, the cylinder has some very good corners for drifting. So, well, you can win a lot of time on drifting on multiple accounts. So let's watch strategy 2, which is a drifting strategy. Alright, so as you could see, this drifting strategy doesn't use any advanced air techniques at all, just straightforward dives. But just by drifting alone, you can win 10 seconds on the last strategy and get to about 131 maximum. So let's analyze it. So with this strategy we're using the drifting, and you want to start with a hard real drift on the right side immediately, and it's key to get a very good drifting angle immediately, and you want to accelerate up to about 960, 970 kilometers per hour by the time you get to this decoration piece or whatever it is. And then you can lift off by holding down on the control stick, and when you lift off you can just straightforward dive back to the track, try to optimize your air time, and you accelerate quite a bit at the start of lap 1 and really pull away from that staff coast. We're already more than 2 seconds ahead, and this for this section is stay on the inside, same as the last strategy. And at the end of the tunnels you do a real drift on the left side quite a bit. You have to adjust your drifting angle just a little bit to keep it optimal. Into a drift up to about this point. And that's because we need to do some tricks to keep our base speed up, keep our speed up, because our base speed or our top speed is not very high because we have full acceleration settings. Now these corners on the cylinder are absolutely perfect for drifting. You can do some left side attacks into another drift to the right here. And then this corner also is very important to drift. You can see I'm accelerating to over 1000 kilometers per hour. And drift along this as well onto the main road again. you can even switch drift into a drift like this. And then drift on the right side. It's actually a little bit easier to just drift like this, and it doesn't matter if you hit the sides. In fact, it's a little bit faster if you do. But you really need to get that full refiller, because with all this real drifting we lose quite a bit of energy. But you can refill completely, or almost completely, depending on how hard you will drift. Then dive down again, same principle as the last strategy, for the nose to shift down and pull up right before you land. And again, like the last one, start boosting immediately when you enter lap 2, because we want to take off here. Now, stop boosting. Start boosting around here, because we need some extra boosts compared to the last strategy to do boost drifts along the cylinder. So that's why you need to take into account here. Boost drift along this corner. This is a pretty great corner for drifting as well. So now we're entering the cylinder from the right side with the left side attack, because we're going pretty fast and that's safe. Now boost drift along the cylinder, you can really accelerate quite a lot here. So this section is going to be way faster than the last strategy, and that's where you can win most of the time. Boost drift along this one. And then right side attack as soon as you enter the road, the main road that is. If you did some really good boost drift, you want to keep your grip here as well, and then start drifting into this one. Stay to the right of the ice. Don't boost in the refiller on lap 2, because we want to actually refill. And you use just about all the energy. So stop rail drifting or drifting into the rail for the last part of the refiller, just to fill up that energy meter completely, and then boost on the jump down and keep on boosting here, because we want to of course take off in lap 3 as well. Yeah, so interesting point, at some sections it's optimal to not start a drift normally, but just crash into the rail and extend that, because you lose grip like that, into a drift. But that's icing on the cake. So same as lap 2, you don't want to use up all your energy, you want to crash into the rail, into a drift, into a boost drift. And again, boost along the cylinder in lap 3 as well. Yeah, it's not gonna be easy at all to really optimize this kind of stuff, but you will see that you will easily win a lot of time on the grip-based driving stuff. So this section is a bit dangerous because there's almost no energy left. So you want to be very careful here. And there was just enough energy for one more hit with the rail, collision with the rail. Now of course you do want to keep on boost drifting all the way and then dive down to finish the race. So there we go. We didn't use any air technique so far, and we're already at 131. Already 19 seconds faster than the Staff Ghost. But we can go a lot faster. And we can win well over 10 seconds if we do some air techniques. And for this next strategy we'll keep it kind of simple, as far as you can speak about simple, but these moves, but we can already win a lot of time. So let's watch that. So there we go, even sub 116. So remember, the last strategy we got 131. Now we're adding 2 double tap dives per lap and we're getting to 115. 15 seconds faster, more than 15 seconds faster than the last strategy. So how do we do that? Let's analyze. Alright, so now it becomes absolutely essential and key to do this first rail drift on the right side optimally and get to about 960, 970 to actually take off here. Hold down on the control stick, at this point at least, before this structure thing, whatever it is, to get some air time. And then when you start floating up, I'm using air control to set up a great diving angle for double tap dive right. And with that, I'm basically just holding the control stick down left to turn like this, and then left, up left, and eventually up to get to the perfect diving angle. And it's all timing dependent. And it's kind of a feeling thing that you have to build up to very carefully watch the nose of your ship. So down left, left, up left, and up. And you can see the nose of the ship is pointing down left. Perfect position for double tap dive right. And basically just hold up on the control stick or very, very, very slightly upright just to find the perfect landing spot. And you will see that in lap 1 you cannot quite max out the speedometer at 3000, but you can get pretty close already. And you kind of want to land in the middle of the track and then switch over to left side attacks, of course, to keep your grip into the tunnel. Side attack here as well. And with these strategies you really want to enter the cylinder on the right side. Now back to drifting again, same as the last strategy. Yeah, so this whole part is about the same. But now the end of lap 1 is gonna be interesting because we're gonna do another double tap dive to enter lap 2 at a crazy high speed. Basically, you just have to need the perfect drifting position for a rail drift right and then start holding up at this point. To point the nose of the ship down, and it's already automatically pointing down right for a double tap dive C, so I'm holding up or very slightly up left to find the perfect landing position on the track. As you will see, you will always sort of hit the rail, the left rail like this. That's normal, that's just a consequence of the angle we have to use for that double tap dive. Now this is also going to be interesting. What I do, and what you should do for this next double tap dive, is do an air drift left, but you also want to hold up on the control stick because you will float up sky high, lose a ton of time in setup, and make it very difficult for yourself as well to land back on the track on a good spot. So in this situation, what I'm really doing is holding about 2/3 of the way up left, and you will automatically air drift left like this when you're going like 1800 or faster, or even 1500. You will take off sky high. I mean, in lap 1 we only needed 960 kilometers per hour to take off. So with these kind of speeds, it's gonna happen. And you don't want to take off too high actually. So up left and then eventually to up. You don't want to hold all the way up though when you're air drifting left, because you will be just a bit too low for a good dive. So about 2/3 of the way up left to up. When you're in a perfect diving angle, nose to the ship down left, ship tilted on its side. So at this point I'm using a double tap dive right, mashing the R button, I'm just holding up on the control stick, and then adjusting my diving line very slightly holding up right, just to find the perfect landing spot into about the middle of the track, and before the corner to the left of course, because otherwise that corner to the left is not going to be possible to make in a good way. Now you will very easily max out the speedometer at 3000. In fact, what you can even do to optimize this is to start holding slightly down when the speedometer is already maxed out, right before you land, to also reduce the landing impact. But that is icing on the cake. That's very, very hard. That's only if you're totally in control of what you're doing with double tap dives. So in this section, just boost drift along the cylinder. Right side attacks here. There's no way you can pull out a good drift going into the corner of these speeds. Now again, for lap 2 we don't want to boost here, we just want to refill, but you want to keep a good drift going of course. And now we're keeping the drift going all the way because we're drifting into, again, a double tap dive Z into lap 3 again. Hold up, double tap dive C, very slightly up left for the perfect landing spot. You will always hit the left rail, that's okay. Boost at the start of lap 3. Again, air drift left into a double tap dive right. Try to land in the middle of the track. And you can even pull up on the ship right before you land if you really want to max it out. Boost in the tunnel here, because we have a very high speed right now and you want to preserve that. But don't boost when you're still going over 2000 of course, because then boost will not be effective. Well, the rest of the race is kind of self-explanatory with this strategy. Just boost drift along the cylinder. As you can see, you have quite a bit of energy to spare. So if you accidentally hit the rail when you land the double tap dive, it's not that bad. You can manage. fact, you really have quite a lot of energy to spare, so it's really okay if you accidentally hit the rail. But it's not okay, of course, if you lose a lot of speed and time in the process, but that's okay when learning this. And for the last dive, it really doesn't matter where you end up as long as you cross the finish line. And it's faster to do a suicide dive like this. So that's it for strategy 3. Now that seems pretty impressive. 1:15, that's really fast. That's now very high up in the rankings already. But you can win another about 7-8 seconds. You can win about 8 seconds more with various new double tap dives that you can do. And this is really maxing out the strategy, and this is also where the difficulty really spikes up. So this is a really hard strategy, and it's only for the best players. So only players that could, get in the top 3 or get the world record at this point, you want to try this. And if you want to beat the world record, because the world record on this track is really, really super good, you need it. So let's watch. Alright, so this is actually quite a bit faster than the world record already in potential. But that's not really unexpected, as you could see how much super difficult moves are going on. So this is very advanced strategy, a lot of fun, but really difficult. So let's analyze. So the beginning is the same as the last strategy. By now this should be second nature to you. Take off and double tap dive. It's actually exactly the same as the last strategy, so if you're good at it, you can use that skill. But the difference is, in this strategy you need to absolutely nail this dive. This needs to be really, really perfect, because you need all the speed you have to be able to take off when you exit the tunnel here. So you really need a super high speed at this point to take off. So how does that work? At this point, where you're exiting the tunnel, you're about in the middle of the track, that's okay. I do a left side attack while holding all the way down, because you want to take off here. And it's really tricky to take off here. Trust me, you will probably crash into the left rail quite a bit because you're not taking off. And that can either be because the timing is off, often because you're not going fast enough. It's tricky. So I'm holding down and about halfway to the left, because we want to turn to the left and right. You will almost always, at least in the first lap, hit the rail. And if you're going fast enough, you will be able to take off. But immediately you need to be immediately side checking left and holding down as well to leave the track. So that's what you could see here, left, and then you hit the rail here and start to take off. So left side attack, move the control stick down to about halfway down, halfway left, or all the way down, halfway left, up to about this point. Just some left side attacks and move up and left to position the ship for a perfect double tap dive right diving position to the cylinder. So what you should be holding now to flip the ship over into the actual diving angle is holding about halfway down plus left. So just down left and then move the control stick about halfway. And then move the control stick to via the left to the up left position, and then eventually up when you're ready to start your double tap dive. So this is where the double tap dive started. Just hold up and double tap dive right. And what's interesting is that you only initially should be holding up, and then at this point about halfway up, and then about now neutral, because you do want to land quite far on the cylinder into this corner. And at this point hold all the way right, and keep mashing the right side attack button all the way. So no holding back, all the way right. And if your landing position is perfect, and if your timing is perfect, etc., you can stick to the cylinder there and keep all the speed through the corner. Now that is very, very hard. In practice you will often find that you either lose control of the cylinder altogether and you lose a lot of speed in the process. So this really needs a lot of practice to find out where to land and how to do your timing with your side attacks and steering, etc. To make that corner and stick to the cylinder and keep your speed. But of course, as the video shows, that is the optimal way to do it. So the rest of the lab is the same in the strategy department, and this double tap dive needs to be really good as well, because the double tap dive we're doing in lab 2 and 3 at the start of the lab is going to be different. And what is a lot more efficient than doing a double tap dive right here is doing a double tap dive Z here, because then you're diving to the left and we're landing right before a corner or into a corner to the left. So you can keep on going smoothly without steering if you land in that corner already going to the left. So what I'm doing is holding, at this point, doing a right side attack and holding about halfway upright. You don't want to float up too high here, going super fast of course, and that's kind of tricky. You want to hold halfway upright and you want to keep on floating to the right for quite a bit of time. Now this is really hard. It's really hard to determine how far to the right you should be floating for how long. So I've done this in my personal best time. I did this dive twice, as this strategy also does, but I needed a lot of practice to sort of feel my way through it, how far to the right I should be diving, should be floating, before doing a double tap dive Z and holding up on the control stick essentially. You can do it very slightly left to adjust your diving line, but you can't really do much at this point. It's all timing dependent, and if you do it really, really well, you can land into that left corner right before the tunnel at 3000, and you don't have to really adjust much because we're already going. You can just go straight ahead into the tunnel at 3000. Now taking off at this speed is gonna be a piece of cake, just hold down. But it's the same principle again to set up your diving angle, except you're going way faster. And you can actually land at almost 3000, 2900 on this part of the cylinder. So as Jack to Zero points out, you want to land on the cylinder, but you want to land on the top left part, not on the top right part, because if you land like on the inside of the corner, on the right side somewhere, then if you hold all the way right, you will probably move to the inside or the underside and you just crash. There's no way to control that. So you want to land on the left side of the cylinder, and on the top left is ideal. Again, in lap 2, don't boost in the refiller, just drift. And in lap 3, basically repeat what you just did in lap 2. And yeah, boost at the start of lap 3. So do two right side attacks to set up your position, and just about when the second right side attack ends is when you should start diving. So that is something at least to take into account. But it's quite tricky to set that up in such a way that you will always be able to land back right into that corner before the tunnel. Land on the top left of it and keep mashing the R button. I mean, it's amazing how you can stick to the cylinder at these kind of speeds, but it is possible, and it is what the world record does. So if you're going to challenge that, you know what you're up against. Quite a bit of energy left at the land of lap 3, but we're going so fast. There's not a lot of opportunity to actually use it. Now, at the end of lap 3, of course, just use it all up. You can't even use it all up, that's okay. And suicide dive for a spectacular finish on a spectacular race. 107. That's it for Space Blamp. Amazing track,